Shalom, Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, double honors my teachers, the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about some recent financial events that took place right under everybody's nose while the media was pushing distraction info, namely about the Facebook outage and all that, whistleblower BS stuff. Right? We're going to talk about how these banks, namely the Federal Reserve, is now making the shift to a digital currency, so that way it can eventually lead to the mark of the beast. But before we get into that, let's read this. This is Revelations 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. That's 666. Now, this image here is basically the logo for the new standard that the Federal Reserve has adopted for the standardization of electronic payments, ISO 222. Right? This right here is going to be a common phrase if you're into financial news or financial sector, or just look into the economics of Babylon the Great, and pretty soon in the world. This here is created by the International Standards Organization. Basically, it's a non-governmental organization, an NGO, that basically it's a bunch of Edomite, together at a think tank, coming through with standardizations to bring the world together. Right? Well, this right here is basically a standardized method for all the banks around the world, or all systems which use this standard to be able to communicate with each other. For example, let's say the easiest way to explain this is if you have an iPhone and you have an Android phone, and let's say you're creating a profile for somebody. On the iPhone, you have a place for a first name, last name, address, birthday, but sometimes you'll have other criteria that you could fill in, like occupation, fax, Apple ID, and all these different type of categories. Well, if you were to take that profile from the Apple phone and you were to try to import it into an Android phone, some of these categories would not match up because they wouldn't exist, and vice versa. Some criteria on Android profiles wouldn't fit into the iPhone phone, right? There'll be information will be scattered. Well, banks with their financial ledgers have the same things. Banks in India record different details about their customers and transactions than banks in America, and it goes all over the world. Well, this program here, this standard, this protocol, ISO 222, is a standardized way for payments to be sent and have certain information recorded. Okay, now why is this such a big deal? Right? Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve has adopted this standard, right? And why is this standard so popular that the Federal Reserve picked it up? Well, the ISO 222 standard just so happens to be the standard that many cryptocurrencies use. One of them being Ripple, another one being XRP, certain things like this, right? So basically, what Esau is doing in his system, to make it simple, is he's basically getting the dollar system, the U.S. Federal Reserve monetary system. He's getting it ready to convert it into a centralized digital currency, basically, right? Our money is going to soon go digital, and this is how they convert it from what it is now to a new standard, which they can then transfer it all over the world, between you and I, between you and a store, between you and a government, and all over, right? This is how it starts, right? And this ultimately, like I said, will lead to the mark of the beast. This is going to be how they get your economic payments, your salary, your paycheck, transferring of funds, everything put on those chips that will be eventually inserted into your body. Now, let's go and read this article. It says, the Fed Reserve adopts ISO 222 format for payments that Ripple is compliant with. And right now, man, if you search the cryptocurrency like message boards, everybody's going crazy and losing their shit and buying up Ripple, XRP, and all other coins or cryptocurrencies that are ISO compliant. And there's a few. There's maybe like 8 cryptocurrencies that are already ISO 2022 compliant, right? And like I said again, only thing that this protocol is that it allows you to enter in particular what is referred to as metadata, or basically just additional categories of information. Okay, and this is what the Federal Reserve has adopted, and pretty soon, which I'm going to show you, the banks of pretty much all the banks of the world are adopting the standard. So we are seeing the underlying foundation for the one world economic system being set up, right? This is why I'm making a video on this. Let's go ahead and read the article. It says, according to a press release that came out on Monday, the U.S. Federal Reserve spread the word that all Fed banks are going to implement the ISO 222 system for FedWire fund services. Now, FedWire is basically the program that the Federal Reserve uses to basically transfer money all over the world, right? There's about $7 trillion that gets transferred through this system by the Federal Reserve or / government, right? So whenever me or the apostles or other brothers here are talking about how the government doesn't even print money, all they do is they write a couple of zeros on a program somewhere, we're referring to FedWire. Okay, this is the program that they use. Okay, now continuing. Curiously, Ripple's blockchain-based payments are already compliant with ISO 222. Right, and the reason why this article is mentioning that is because a lot of these people who are dabbling right now in cryptocurrency, right, a lot of them are going to make money just being ahead of the curve and being involved in this market. But they think that because they have the right now the understanding and basically their money in Ripple or Ethereum or XRP, that they're going to somehow be these new robber barons of the systems. But no, man, this also just means that now the game that these cryptocurrency traders have been playing on, now basically a big bully has entered into your game and is going to take over, right? Because you see, the world elites, the kings of the earth, the Edomites, right, they are now chosen, and I wouldn't doubt if they even paid to have this protocol developed just for this reason, right? I'm sure they pay to have multiple systems developed, and now they're just choosing the one that's most efficient, right? And you're going to see in just a bit why I'm saying this, right? Well, they're going to eventually take over, and I'm talking about the governments, the world elitists. They're going to be in control of this system, man, and pretty much they're going to dictate, who basically is allowed to do what on these systems, okay? Continuing, it says, the Fed based real-time payments to run on the new standard, right? He's talking about FedWire. The new format for messaging, and when they say messaging, this basically means making payments from, let's say, you to a store, right? Because these aren't going to simply be like little bits of information like they were before, right? Remember, like when you would go to a store and you would slide your card and it would say like authorizing or whatever. Well, what happens in those authorizations that take place when you slide your card is that your bank account is being contacted, or your bank is being contacted to check your bank account and see that the funds are there, and if they are there, those funds get allocated into a holding place, okay? And what happens at that point is a message gets sent back to the terminal that you're paying at to say, yes, it's been approved. Well, all that is what is referred to here as messaging, okay? So where it says the new format of messaging means that the bits of information that are going back and forth now, they're not going to be small little, numbered text messages, but now they're going to be actual like full on what's referred to as XML messages, right? Which means a lot of information can be sent to and from. So a lot more intricate and new ways of making payments are going to exist. For example, you'll now be able to make a payment from a chip inserted in your hand, because that's going to have all this information that's going to let you get past certain paywalls, okay? The new format of messaging allows for the enhancement of real-time payments, both at home and cross-border, right? Because this thing is going worldwide. That's what these devils are setting the system up for, is to be a worldwide payment system. Besides, it will enable banks and other institutions to implement measures against money laundering, right? You see, in this right here goes back to the scripture, right? That says, it says, save he, it says, and that no man may buy or sell save he that had the mark, right? And why, and see, that right there matches up with this, because you see, without being able to get around the system that's going to be implemented by these devils, there's going to be no way for you to make a payment for something, because again, there's going to be no dollars, there's going to be no yuans, no whatever type of currency is out there, man. The only type of currency that you're going to be able to pay with would be silver and gold, or to barter with you, okay? But for the most part, traditional fiat money is going to be done away with, right? And this is why, because there's things and there's countermeasures in this new standard which are going to allow banks to implement measures against money laundering, right? So also, the Fed board asked the public to comment on its plans to enable FFS, right, or the FedWire Fund Service, to start running on ISO 222. And here's the point. The board also suggests that banks should not take 3 stages to adopt the new message format, but switch it in 1 day. You see that? So this huge Federal Reserve organization is telling these banks, you know what, let's not take our time, let's not be diligent, let's not roll this out slowly. No, let's roll this out in 1 day. And why is that? Well, it tells you in the scripture. This is Matthew 24 and 22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. You see, these devils, they're running out of time, and they're trying to speed up as fast as possible. So much so that they're bypassing the animal testing with these jabs. They're bypassing these 3 stages, which would basically be like, 3 years worth of slow transitional moves, right? From getting banks off of the old payment systems onto the new payment system, right? This right here is pretty much what India did to its population when they told them overnight that their money was going to be no longer valid, and that they had to basically trade in, I think it was like their $100 or $500 rupees or whatever. this is exactly what these devils are going to do to the entire world, right? Now they're going to try to make it as painless as possible, but ultimately they're rushing because they know that they're running out of time. It says the Fed's fund service now runs on the same system as Ripple or cryptocurrencies. FFS enables real-time settlements run by Federal Reserve banks. The system enables financial institutions and corporations to make fast transactions in a secure manner. ISO 222 was created by experts at the International Organization for Standardization, right? This company right here, a non-governmental organization, NGO, that deals with publishing standards for a wide range of spheres. And this company here, man, ultimately works with the UN. It's simply one of the small, branch out businesses or corporations or organizations, I should say, that get their power from the UN for the most part, right? They're all Edomites that run this place, man. Now, continuing, it says, on October 1st, last year, Ripple's Senior Vice President and Products, Ashish Birla, took to Twitter to announce that Ripple had already been compliant with ISO 222 and therefore is ready for 2030. He believes the new standard, together with RippleNet, will completely change the industry of payments within the next 10 years, right? And basically this devil here, see, he's tied in, right? And he understands, what's going on with the future plans of these elites regarding the whole, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050, and so on, man, because certain people have been let in on the plans, to basically change the world into the new world order, right? And that includes switching over to this new standard, right? And this standard, like I said, has been set up from the get-go. If you go through, you can see all the financial services that it goes with. Namely here, look, SWIFT. And if you understand what SWIFT is the system that governments, countries use to transfer money back and forth, right? It says the Society of Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, SWIFT, legally SWIFT, blah, blah, provides a network that enables financial institutions worldwide to send and receive information about financial transactions in a secure, standardized, and reliable way, right? And also Visa. So now that you know these two huge corporations or organizations that are behind the money system of the world are in this, you understand that this is, what you're looking at is like I said, the foundation, the bones of the system, which is going to come and basically be the backbone for the new beast system, right? When it comes to payments. But, it's very obvious to us that are looking, right? But it doesn't matter, because ultimately you see these devils think that they're going to be able to heal Babylon, and by creating a new banking system and ultimately getting everybody on these digital currencies, which they will eventually put into those chips, which they're going to want to implant into you, right? But it doesn't matter, because all that's going to amount to nothing, because you see the things that are coming. Not only do these devils think they're going to bring the storm, as they call it, but you see the Lord is going to soon, destroy these devils, man. He's going to bring hell upon them, literally, right? This is James 5:3. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. I shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. So you see all these trillionaires, all these huge corporations, all these people who have been amassing this wealth over these last 2 decades, starting back in 2008, not even before that, but mainly in 2008, when you had the Wall Street executives basically, pilfer the stock market, right? Take all that money you had, and then you had those corporations take all the bailout money that they were given and pay it out as bonuses, right? And then, continuing from there, you had people basically just, you know, ripping off people, it tells you, when you look at statistics, that the billionaires of the world, along with all the rich, you know, the rich or the higher echelon, the top 20%, have gotten richer, more rich, and since this whole C-19 debacle, man, right? Because there's been a destruction of the middle class, and all that's going to be left once these devils are done is going to be the high lords, right? These Edomites at the top, and the poor peasants at the bottom, right? This is how they bring back feudalism, right? As Carl Schwab said, man, you will own nothing and you're going to love it, right? But these devils, you know, they got a thing or two coming to them, man, if they think they're going to pull this off, because the Bible tells you, man, you know, when they're about to fill their belly, then the Lord's going to strike them through, right? But right now, right, as of October 4th, you see the Federal Reserve is now making motions to move over or to adopt this new standard, right? The Federal Reserve Board announces the reserve banks will adopt a new message format for the FedWire funds service and invites public comment on proposal to expedite adoption, right? So there you go. So if you want, you can make a comment about this, but and here you can just see certain organizations making their comments, you know, about it, right? Basically, it's everybody is just basically blowing smoke up these guys' ass, man, and basically saying what great job and how amazing this change is going to be, that type of stuff, right? SWIFT thanks the Federal Reserve System for the opportunity to provide comments on the notice, proposed service enhancements, blah, 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 blah. So pretty much everybody's all for it, because again, everybody is on board with this, man, because this is the way that the B system is going to be set up, right? Here's some more information from the Federal Reserve. The adoption of ISO 222, standardizing payment technology, leads to greater end-to-end efficiency. So for the most part, man, they're going to make this sound like it is an amazing thing, right? They're going to tell you that you're going to no longer need a bank account, right? That the only thing you'll need a bank account is for getting big loans and this type of stuff. But for the most part, you'll now be able to pay directly out of your body to whoever you want to make a payment to, right? And it's all going to be done, you know, off the backbone of this new standard, right? And when you get into this organization, Red Compass, they actually give a breakdown of how this standard has been getting, you know, approved, right? When you look, it's going to be used for trade, cards, payments, securities, right? And financial instruments, right? All financial instruments, from the yuan to the euros to the dollars, right? And it says ISO is set to be the de facto standard for high value payment systems of all reserve currencies, right? By 2023, ISO 222 will account for 80% volumes of high value transactions, 87% value of high value transactions, right? So you see, this is the new standard. It tells you here, it says countries and regions worldwide are migrating at a different pace for many banks, and migrations will happen in various stages during a period of up to 5 years, right? So you see, these devils already have put a deadline on this, because they basically have made the change, and they're now telling the world they got to get upon it. And who has done that? Well, here you go, right? The Bible tells you, man, when there's mischief, these devils will always be in the mix, right? Switzerland, right? Of course, Switzerland. This is the headquarters of the Edomites upon the earth. And again, if you don't understand who the Edomites are, those are the so-called Caucasian race, okay? And you got their partners in crime, China, or as the Bible refers to them as Moab, India, Elam, and Japan, Ammon, right? And it goes on and it tells you, it says several low value and instant payment schemes have already migrated to the ISO 2022, right? And it tells you Singapore, Hong Kong's system, the Bank of England, right? Australia, Euro, SWIFT, which was the international payments, system or transfer system, and now, the U.S., chips and Fed, right? So the thing is they're eventually going to finish this migration by 2024, which I doubt we're even going to get there, but you never know, right? It tells you, man, that no man knows the time of the day. But this is just Esau's fucking wet dream, thinking that he's going to bring this system through, right? And the funny thing is, man, is when you get into who owns all these systems, man, who owns all these Federal Reserve banks? Well, you got devils like this, man. Jacob Rothschild, right? One of the head kings of Edom, right? This man's an Edomite, and he controls many of these banks. And not only that, but who do you think funds the ISO organization, right? And all these other organizations who have developed this, these digital currencies, man. When you get into their funding and how they were set up, the think tanks and how they get their funding, it always leads back to the rich elites of the nation of Edom, right? And that's because these devils, they run this world, right? This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So you see, they're going to bring this as a benefit. The economy will collapse, and we're going to go through a fairly crazy time, right? That's pretty obvious when you look at other countries and you see what they have gone through or are going through. That eventually is going to come here to America again. So we got to prepare. You got to make sure that you're right with the Lord, and make sure to ask the Lord, pray to Him that He brings you through that fire in one piece, right? Because you see, these devils, they are setting up these snares all over the place, man. Right? They're going to take away your ability to pay for things. Now think about that, man. Think about that. You will no longer be able to pay for things in the traditional sense, man. You're going to either need to stock up on silver or gold or some other type of, precious metal that has traditionally, since ancient times, been considered currency, which will still have value. But again, when was the last time you seen a fool with fucking bags of silver, man? Right? The last time I seen people with silver was around their fucking neck as a chain and shit, man. Or gold for that matter. Right? So that's what the black market is going to eventually be based off of, man. Is the silver, the gold coins, or just bartering equipment, man. And this ultimately is going to bring a lot of distress, crime, and some hard times. So, get ready, Akim. The good thing is we got a foot in the door, man, because we're out here actually doing what the Lord wants us to do, man, by following His word in the Bible, man. So, consider that when if you think things are tough now, man, just wait until those people who are not doing the will of the Lord, until things progress and hell comes upon them. So hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Dash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles, and elders, the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.